Hi, my name is S.T.A.L.K.E.R and let's start with Mad Max. You will play as a lone warrior in a savage post-apocalyptic world where cars are the most important thing, the very key to survival. So in Mad Max you will have the same mindset as my neighbor Ginteres, who fixes his car every day, polishes the paint and spends more time with it than with his own wife. But the balance in nature is always around the corner. My other neighbor Darius has no car, so he spends time with Ginteres' wife. Everyone is happy. Anyway, in Mad Max you will find an action-packed open world where you must fight against vicious gangs of bandits to stay alive in the Wasteland. You want nothing more than to leave the madness behind and find solace in the mythical Plains of Silence. Along the way in your search, you are challenged with treacherous missions as you scavenge the dangerous landscape for supplies to build the ultimate combat vehicle of your dreams. Kenshi. This is a free-roaming, squad-based RPG focusing on open-ended sandbox gameplay. You can be a trader, a thief, a rebel, a warlord, a slave, or just food for the cannibals. The freedom is here and it's up to you how you would use it. You can research new equipment and craft new gear, purchase and upgrade your own buildings to use as safe fortified havens when things go bad, or use them to start up a business. Well, it's a sandbox game after all. You can aid or oppose the various factions in the world while striving for the strength and wealth necessary to simply survive in the harsh desert. You will train your men up from puny victims to master warriors, carry your wounded squadmates to safety and get them all home alive. The game is purely single player and it's an owner of overwhelmingly positive reviews left by tens of thousands of people. This is a cat simulator, but not a usual one, if you know some usual ones, because the game is set in a cyberpunk world and that stirs the pot a bit. The game is a third-person cat adventure set in a detailed neon-lit alleys of a decaying cyber city and the murky environments of its seedy underbelly. You can roam surroundings high and low, defend against unforeseen threats and solve the mysteries of this unwelcoming place inhabited by nothing but unassuming droids, dangerous creatures and things. You know, like evil duct tape. It's your enemy. If in your life a cat ever owned you, you know why. Wasteland 3. I will say bluntly, if you like tactical turn-based games, this RPG here is a must-play. It's not a recommendation or something, but the law. You must play it if you want to go, you know, to game hell after your death. Anyway, this version of the game includes both the Battle of Steel Town and Cult of the Holy Detonation expansions, as well as the Colorado Survival Gear bonus items. And the game itself is a wonderful gem for all Fallout, Baldur's Gate and all turn-based combat fans. In Wasteland 3 you will travel to the frozen wastes of Colorado to deal with gangs, cults and psychopathic clowns in effort to bring stability to the wastes. Or, you know, as always, even more chaos and even more psychopathic clowns. Yeah, not like in real life, your decisions really matter and the world will change according to your actions and reactions. S.T.A.L.K.E.R franchise. Although S.T.A.L.K.E.R games are not quite post-apocalyptic in general, I decided to put them into my list anyway. You know, here the rest of the world is alright. No zombie apocalypse, no aliens, no asteroid ever happened. Here strange and deadly anomalies occur in one specific place, around the area where the Chernobyl power plant exploded one beautiful day, and only the madman could go here and search for the artifacts from another dimension in hopes of getting rich. You are that madman. Everyone calls you a stalker, but you are not alone. The whole community of people like you are scavenging those forsaken lands. Some are friendly, some are not. That's why you have an arsenal of various weapons. The scariest thing here, of course, are not other scavengers, bandits or people in general, but creepy mutants. Oh man, I played these games when I was a teenager, and I was a bit traumatized by some of them, especially by that invisible shithead in the sewers. Oh man, S.T.A.L.K.E.R is not a horror game in general, but it has often strong horror episodes and a menacing atmosphere as well. Not as menacing as your ex-mother-in-law, but still really terrifying. New S.T.A.L.K.E.R game should be released someday in 2024. Let's hope. It was delayed many times already. Mutant Year Zero: Road to Eden. This is a tactical game that combines the turn-based combat of XCOM with real-time stealth and exploration of post-human world reclaimed by nature. And mutants. And by saying mutants, I don't mean human mutants. Those are all gone. Now smart animals rule the world.
Define smart.
Well, you got me here. They are not always smart. They sometimes do stupid decisions because, you know, you are controlling them.
Oh my god, how dare you!
Shh, it's a joke. So although animals can't speak here, it's it's definitely not a Disney kind of world. It's brutal and cruel, and survival of the fittest is in progress. You must venture out of the city to explore the zone where one day you might find the Eden of legends, the ancients' heaven in the middle of hell, I guess, with mountains of potato salad and rivers of cold beer. Maybe you will find your answers there, then again, maybe not. Game has really beautiful graphics, great humor and an interesting story, also very positive reviews on Steam. Days Gone. I really tried to limit zombie apocalypse games in this list because there are just too many of them, but Days Gone is one of the 2 great titles I decided to include. This is an open-world action-adventure game set in a harsh wilderness 2 years after a devastating global pandemic, which made a lot of zombies out of unlucky humans. Here you will take control of a bounty hunter trying to find a reason to live in a land surrounded by death. You will scavenge through abandoned settlements for equipment to craft valuable items and weapons, or take your chances with other survivors. Days Gone has very positive reviews on Steam, so if you like zombies, give it a try. Although, have you ever imagined that somewhere in the universe there's probably a planet of zombies and they are creating horror games about becoming human? And honestly, we actually are pretty terrifying. Underrail. Game is set in a distant future when life on the surface has long gone and the only remnants of humanity now dwell in the Underrail, a vast system of metro station states that, it seems, are the last bastions of a fading race. Here you take control of one of the denizens of such a station state, whose life is about to become all that much more interesting and dangerous as you are caught in the middle of conflicting factions of the Underrail as they violently struggle to survive in the harsh underground environment. Game will take about 60 hours of your boring life, so it's a decent storyteller, although it's difficult and may sometimes infuriate you. Dying Light Definitive Edition. This is a great deal which includes the full game and a huge expansion with a new story, vast original map and a customizable buggy to drive. Also 2 additional game modes, 2 additional quarantine zones, exclusive weapons and outfits. The game has an overwhelmingly positive review score on Steam, and that makes at least 95% of all players happy with their purchase. Anyway, here you'll have to survive in a city ravaged by, obviously, zombie virus and freely roam around basking in its unique atmosphere. You will also use parkour skills to jump or climb buildings and reach remote areas, but the most dramatic shift in the world comes at the sundown, as you change from a hunter to a hunted. That is a terrifying experience and you would never leave the safe zone at night, but the best quests and rewards await you only when the darkness falls. Also, if you are used to taking free games from the Epic Store, you may already have it, so check your library. Endzone, A World Apart. A group of terrorists blew up nuclear power plants around the globe and plunged the world into chaos. Only a few were able to escape into underground facilities called the Endzones. Well, in the real world, if that happened, it would suck, but it wouldn't be a civilization-ending event. Anyway, this is a game. 150 years later, mankind returns to the surface and, surprise, surprise, under your command. So, poor humanity is doomed. I'm sorry, no offense. Okay, a little offense. Here, in an extremely hostile environment full of radioactivity, contaminated rain and vicious climate change, you will have to prove your worth as a leader.
Good luck with that.
So you will have to build a settlement, gather and refine resources, send expeditions to forgotten places, and much more. People on Steam are talking that the game is really fun if you like city builders, but it has complex UI system and the lore part is really weak. Also, the game is really hard. Anyway, 77% of players who try the Endzone are recommending this game for you. Fallout New Vegas Ultimate PCR. This is a legendary game, and this deal is the best version of it possible. Pack contains DLCs like Dead Money, Honest Hearts, Old World Blues, Lonesome Road, and so on. So basically, if you play the game when it initially came out or never tried it, this version is the best way to experience Fallout New Vegas. Keep in mind that this is one of the best Fallout games ever created. You know, including classic games and new ones, Fallout New Vegas outshines them all. Everyone who played New Vegas is talking quite unanimously about its greatness. Death Stranding Director's Cut. After the collapse of civilization, you must journey across a ravaged landscape crawling with dangers to save mankind from the brink of extinction. Game is created by legendary Hideo Kojima, so brace yourself for some weirdness. The famous Danish actor Mads Mikkelsen and the Walking Dead hair model Norman Reedus gave their bodies and voices to the characters, so that alone is probably enough to catch your attention. Also, you can actually take a Dumpty Dump in there. Such nice details. Death Stranding is definitely not a standard game. It really differs from almost everything everything I have seen. Some salty guys call the game a walking simulator, but you know, in a walking simulator you can't die, and here death is on every corner. It's even in the name of the game. That Stranding can be too stressful for more sensitive people, so keep in mind that this is not just a happy walk in a park. It's quite dark and gloomy, and it will really test your nerves. Generation Zero. It may not be the best game on this list. It holds only a mostly positive review score on Steam, but the setting and the atmosphere of the game is really worthy of your attention. Honestly, the game was really hyped upon a release, and when people didn't get a masterpiece, bad reviews started to flow. That is a story of many games, and Generation Zero definitely doesn't deserve that, because it may not be a masterpiece, but it's not a bad game as well. Here you will explore alternative Sweden in 1989. One day, Swedes woke up early in the morning and saw that their beloved Sverige is overrun by evil robots. Where did they came from, who made them, nobody knows. Probably evil Norwegians who were envious of Swedish reindeer herds. Everyone knows that casual Swedish deer produces 7 times the amount of milk than Norwegian deer does. Even the males. That is the fact, trust me, every Swede in the comments can confirm that. This war of mine. Here you will take care of a group of civilians trying to survive in a besieged city, struggling with lack of food, medicine and constant danger from snipers and hostile scavengers. The game provides an experience of war seen from an entirely new angle. The pace of the game is imposed by the day and night cycle. During the day, snipers outside stop you from leaving your refuge, so you need to focus on maintaining your hideout, crafting, trading and taking care of your survivors. And at night, take one of your civilians on a mission to scavenge through a set of unique locations for items that will help you stay alive, you know, like medicine or a box of beer. Metro franchise. No list like that can be complete without the Metro games. The franchise is made by Ukrainian-Maltese video game developer who created the series based on the books by writer Dmitry Gluchovsky, a Russian guy who had big, hairy balls and condemned the predatory Russian war on Ukraine, then fled Russia, and because of that he got 8 years of prison time from corrupt Russian judges. They can't get him now anyway. So Metro, although the plot is happening in Russia, has no actual connections with the dictator or his regime. That being said, here you will play as Artyom, a survivor of nuclear war, now along with his friends living in the metro tunnels of Moscow. You are not alone here, various mutants and not as friendly dudes want you dead. Well, as always. There are 3 games in the franchise, all of them are really good first-person shooters. You have all my recommendations. Frostpunk. If you ever had a dream to make children work in the mines, this game will fulfill this dream of yours in no time. Frostpunk is a city management and building game, but with heavy survival elements and resource management mechanics. You will be in charge of a steampunk society that survived the collapse of civilization. But sometimes it's better to perish with the others than to be governed by a maniac like you. Just remember those children you sent into the mines. Anyway, you know, their hands are tiny but they are fast. Some of them might die. Their parents will organize a coup against you, but, you know, you can't rebel if you're dead. You know, you rebel, you die. Also, in this way, you will have less people to feed. Everything falls in place like mayonnaise on the potato salad. Since the premiere, Frostpunk has been enriched with a number of updates. Now you can enjoy the new Endless mode that increases the game's replayability. There is also a new scenario, the Fall of Winterhome, that further expands the game's universe and lore. And for the dessert, they added things like naming characters and automatons, and finally a photo mode. The game has about 90% of positive review score on Steam and is great for everyone who likes to dive into a post-apocalyptic world and make it better. Or worse, way worse. Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West. So here you play as a young girl who decided to save our world from evil and corruption. And by corruption, I don't mean bureaucracy between humans and monsters, but the evil that changes good animals, so they become bad animals.
Ooh.
I know, right? And those animals are all robotic, cybernetic dinosaurs. Really cool concept that made this game famous. Don't worry, it's not some distant planet with alternative history. It's just a post-apocalyptic world where you are trying to unlock its secrets and learn everything about the great event event that raised mechanical animals and plunged humanity into the Stone Age again. I really like the combat of Horizon because all that slicing and shooting feels really satisfying. Both parts of the game are kinda similar. I played the second part a few years apart from the first one, and aside from a few cool special effects and visuals, it's the same game. I couldn't tell the difference. Although Forbidden West is available only for PlayStation owners so far, we will see the PC ports sooner or later. So in general, Horizon is not cruel or dark or anything like Witcher in terms of story and quests. You'll find no boobs here as well. Yeah, not even one. Although you can mod the PC version of the game to your liking. But the combat and open world and monsters are really cool, and I can recommend this game for you without any regrets. Elex 1 and 2. Alright, so Elex and Elex 2 are made by the same people who created Gothic games, and if you are an old-school gamer, this information should spark real interest into your heart. It is set in a post-apocalyptic science fantasy universe full of original characters, deep moral choices, and dinosaurs. Yeah, you can be slain by a Penisoraptor here. Well, they may be called differently in-game, but anyone who slays you is a total dick, that's for sure. Also, here you'll have a jetpack, and that is amazing because you can explore not only horizontally but also erect yourself vertically and find some nice treasures hidden high up the hills. The novelty which distinguishes Elex from the first game the most is an entire system of aerial combat, with all its benefits, including enemies with an improved AI. Both games have mostly positive reviews on Steam and kinda similar scores on Metacritic, so I don't recommend buying them for the full price. Wait for a sale and then snatch them both. The discount value varies from 50 to 75%, and there is no better channel covering sales than this one. Fallout 4. Here you can play from first or third-person perspective. You can take items that lie around and roam across a big open world in search of adventure, absolutely ignoring the main quest and story. So basically it evokes, at least for me it did, the same feeling of freedom and exploration as the Elder Scrolls games. The main difference, of course, is the setting. Fallout 4 is a post-apocalyptic sci-fi game. It's filled with mutants and creepy facilities to explore. You can also join various factions, and that will immensely influence the outcome of the story. Sadly, they don't have a potato salad faction you could join. That is a shame. The game, along with the third Fallout game, has only one really annoying feature. In both cases, I finished the game thinking that I have like 10 or more hours of gameplay left, and it ended absolutely unexpectedly and way too fast. So if you decide to play Fallout 4, keep that in mind. Roam around, do some side quests, do not rush the story. All three games, I mean third Fallout, Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4 are great games. You have all my recommendations. Rage. The first Rage game is very Falloutish and more loved by players than Rage 2. You know, like your siblings are more loved than you and your family. So Rage is an interesting look into life after the end of everything. And that end came along with an asteroid. Not a very ingenious plot, but I guess still better love story than a zombie apocalypse. You know, there are hundreds of more interesting ways to end the world than these cliché scenarios. For example, beer could become sentient and take over the world, or cats suddenly mutate into psychics, and when they are hungry, and that's all the time, they make you dance until you drop dead.
Dance, human, dance for me, meow meow.
I don't know, the possibilities of world ending are actually endless. Why stick to like 7 most boring ones? So here you emerge into this vast wasteland to fight against bandit gangs, mutants and the authority, an oppressive government regime that has a special interest in you in particular. Terminator Resistance. I remember seeing a trailer of this game a few years ago and I was like,
This probably will be a flop.
And I ignored it on my false prejudice for years. Why false? Well, it has more than 90% of positive reviews on Steam. Not too far away from overwhelmingly positive titles, so it's almost a masterpiece. The game is a first-person shooter set during the Future War scenario that was only glimpsed in the first 2 iconic movies. The machines are destined to lose, but at what cost? So basically here you will run and gun or sneak and hack through Skynet's defenses, level up your skills and explore a post-apocalyptic world for scraps to trade and craft, also interact with other survivors and change their fates. People on Steam are saying that this is the real Terminator 3, as it should have been. It contains an amazing atmosphere, also interesting story and developed characters. Most people are recommending to buy it for the full price without any doubts. Thank you for watching, have a nice day, and I'll see you
Next time. Bye.